Hey everybody, JCB here at The Awesomeness, and you're watching The Awesomeness YouTube channel. This is the final part of my Six Flags St. Louis vacation video series. If you haven't seen part 1, you can click the link down in the description below. And if you haven't seen the last part of this video, you can click the link at the end of this video. That said, let's jump right into day 5. On day 5, we woke up at about 9 a.m. and drove to a place called Sunshine Street for breakfast. This was by far the best breakfast we had on this entire trip. Now, normally when we go to town like this, we like to go to places that are kind of unique to the area, or at least places we don't have back at home, and we're usually not disappointed at all. But on this particular trip, we didn't have a good breakfast until day 5. We got to the park right after it opened and decided to try the River King Mine Train coaster. It's a minecart ride, so I immediately want to compare it to Gold Rusher, and it's an apt comparison. The one part that makes this ride just slightly better than Gold Rusher is that at the end you actually appear to go into a mine, which is something I always felt Gold Rusher was kind of lacking. Next up was Superman's Tower of Power. This ride is very similar to Drop of Doom, though nowhere near as tall. It brings you high up into the air, holds you there for a bit, and then you fall to the ground.
You got to see a bird. Look to the right, a plane. Look straight ahead, you got to see Superman, you got to see me soon too.
So fun, so fun.
Next, we decided to try out Screaming Eagle, which is a wooden coaster with a patriotic theme. While we were standing in line, my wife tried to strike a cute pose for my snap spectacles, but then realized she was looking at the wrong side of my glasses. So this is one of those coasters that has a painful lap bar. You know the ones where the coaster throws you around so much that you keep slamming into the lap bar? But it was a ton of fun, so don't let an uncomfortable lap bar stop you from riding it. Next, we decided to get a caricature done because we hadn't actually had a new one since right before we got married. Anyway, here's what that turned out like. I think they captured my essence pretty well. We also went on American Thunder, which was a really great wooden coaster, but I guess my camera didn't record it at all. I don't know what happened there. So here's footage from the Six Flags YouTube channel. It's really a solid ride. The closest comparison at Magic Mountain would probably be Apocalypse, I guess. Next, we went on Tsunami Soaker, and I got absolutely soaked. I don't know why we do not have one of these at Magic Mountain. I think it'd go over really well. We wanted to ride the giant Ferris wheel they call Colossus, but for some reason it was closed all day. Eventually, we found some photo opportunities and decided to take some silly pictures. Next, we went on Tidal Wave, and I have to say, I haven't been on Tidal Wave at Six Flags Magic Mountain since they revamped it and reopened it, but I hope to God that they revamped it in such a way that it works the same as the one in St. Louis, because that one is goddamn insane. It became my favorite ride at the park, hands down. And I gotta say, visually, it looks exactly like our Tidal Wave at Magic Mountain. The difference, though, is that on our Tidal Wave at Magic Mountain, the rider gets like a little mist on them when they go down the drop, and everybody on the bridge gets absolutely soaked, right? But at Six Flags St. Louis, when you're on the ride and you go down that drop, there is a 10-foot wall of water that goes up above your head and then crashes down on you, getting you completely drenched and soaked. It is insane. And the people on the bridge get soaked, and then you get hit a second time with all the water running off the bridge as you pass underneath it. It is crazy. It is way better than our Tidal Wave here at Magic Mountain, which you would think would be designed to get you soaking wet since we're in California and it's burning hot. But I have to say, the one in St. Louis is by far way, way better, and I hope to God that they revamped ours to work the exact same way, because that made the ride so much more fun and so much more worth waiting for. Overall, I'd say Six Flags St. Louis is a pretty decent park. In addition to the stuff that I talked about, they also have a lot of other rides that you would expect. They have a Boomerang, they have a Batman, they have a Sky Screamer and a Spinsanity, they have a Fireball, and one of these swinging rides. There's a lot to do, and we did just about all that we could in our 2 days. For dinner, we were too wiped out to go anywhere fancy, so we just went to the White Castle by the hotel, which I had never been to a White Castle before, and I know I'm gonna upset a lot of diehard fans out there, but it was kind of poopy. I don't know if it was just the one that we went to, but basically the meat was all mushy, and it was just kind of gross, and I didn't care for it too much. Anyway, then we spent the rest of the night just kind of hanging out in our air-conditioned hotel room, and it was pretty good. We woke up at about 11 a.m. the next morning, and we had to run to the Walmart right by the hotel to get some shoes, because ours were still absolutely soaked from tidal wave the day before. Just completely soaked. After that, we headed to the Gateway Arch. We parked our car and followed the markers on the ground to the arch itself. I had no idea the visitor center was as giant and modern as it is. It's almost like a futuristic airport or a train station. Everything is glass and concrete and really clean looking. It's also all underground. We paid for a package that included a movie ticket, a riverboat tour, and of course, a ride to the top of the arch. By the way, did you know you can go inside the top of the arch? Neither did I until I went on this trip and found out. I thought it was just kind of there, like by the water, and you can kind of walk up to it and go, oh look, it's an arch, and there'd be like a fence around it or something so you couldn't get too close. It'd be one of those things. But no, this is like a whole thing. Like there's a whole visitor center with history and a museum and all kinds of crazy stuff, and well, you'll see. After a short wait in line behind some guy who was really into hentai, we entered a room where you can watch some archive footage and animations about the arch itself. Then they take you down to a room where you can get a photo taken before finally bringing you to the train. Yeah, it's basically a train that takes you up the inside of the arch. It's kind of like an escape pod looking thing that seats 5 people, but it's shaped like a barrel on its side, so the outside rotates as it climbs the arch while the inside stays stationary so that you can climb up. It's weird, but you understand it once you kind of see it. While you're waiting to get inside your train, little videos are projected on your pod's door. When you're inside, it's kind of cramped with just the 5 seats and a small window. The ride to the top takes about 5 minutes, and once you're up there, the room you enter is a little larger than an empty tour bus. There are small and wide windows you can lean into to see outside, and when you do, the view is amazing. We of course took tons of pictures and video. After about 10 minutes, we headed back down and checked out some of the artwork and display setup. We also bought a Christmas tree ornament for the arch, which I guess I'm gonna have to dig out now in a few days, huh? After that, we went to a theater to watch a movie about the building of the Gateway Arch, which is only about 20 minutes, but was very informative, and I highly recommend it. The skill and determination it took to build the Gateway Arch is crazy. So we had about 2 hours to kill before the riverboat ride, which turned out to be a blessing because work called and they needed something done like right away. So we had to race back to the hotel, which is about 45 minutes away, so my wife can do all the work stuff she had to do on her laptop on the way back to the Gateway Arch so that we can get on the boat ride in time to actually do our boat ride. So it worked out in the end. On our way back to ride the boat, we stopped for some more photos outside of the arch. We also got up close and personal with it. Really close. You could touch it. The riverboat tour was okay. They basically take you in a small circle in the river right by the arch. The water stinks and the motion of the boat was enough to make us feel kind of nauseous. And also for the entirety of the tour, all of the interesting things the tour guide pointed out were always on the left-hand side of the boat, which was a little annoying because we were sitting on the right-hand side of the boat. Although we did learn that this casino skirted laws about casinos having to be on the water by digging a basement and filling it with river water. So that was creative. And there are also a lot of old bridges crossing the river that they have a lot of information about. I don't know if this whole boat ride is worth rushing back for, but at least I can say I have sailed the Mississippi River. After the riverboat tour ended, we decided to get some St. Louis barbecue, so we walked about 2 miles to Sugar Fire Barbecue, which is pretty amazing, even if it did take forever to get through the line. After that, we headed back to the hotel and called it a night. On day 7, we woke up at about 10 a.m., packed our bags, checked out at 11, drove to a little place called the Egg and I for breakfast, which was good, but not amazing. We had a little bit of a wait before our flight home, so we drove to a nearby theater and watched Solo, a Star Wars story, which was meh at best. So we got back to the airport, we turned in our rental car, and we were actually there pretty early, so we kind of just hung out and ate pizza and stuff. And then eventually they told us that our flight home was going to be delayed, and that might cause us to miss our connecting flight in Chicago to go to Las Vegas. And so basically they gave us 2 options. One, we could take the risk and risk missing our connecting flight and spending the night in Chicago, which they would put us up in a hotel for. Or 2, we can say, forget the whole thing, just book us a flight tomorrow morning, and they'd put us up in a hotel in St. Louis for the night, we'd fly out in the morning. So we thought about it, and we really wanted to get home on time because we had other things planned that we wanted to do, and it would have been a pain in the butt to spend an extra night. So we decided to risk it, and we figured, you know, if we miss our connecting flight in Chicago, well, then we'll spend the night in Chicago, and that's a new adventure at least, you know, it's something we haven't done yet, whereas we had done St. Louis and it was fun. Something new would also be very fun. So anyway, we get on the airplane, it's late of course, we fly to Chicago, and when we land, we literally had 10 minutes to run from literally one end of the airport to the other end of the airport, and you better bet your ass we ran as fast as we possibly could. we barely made that flight. We arrived in Las Vegas at around midnight, paid $120 for parking our car for the week, and headed to our hotel. The next day, due to the change in time and all that, we kind of slept in, and we decided when we woke up to go check out the Hoover Dam. But because we were so late, we missed the last tour of the day and just kind of walked around and took photos and videos ourselves. We definitely need to go back though, because not having a tour guide just raised more questions that we want answered. Anyway, after that, we headed home. I have to say, it was a really fun vacation, and it's been a lot of fun just reliving it by telling you guys all about it and editing these videos. Anyway, without further ado, let's get to the grades. Silver Dollar City gets an A+. It's a great park with a lot to offer. The Marvel Cave Tour alone is worth the trip. It's an amazing place to go, and I highly recommend it. The city of Branson gets an A. I kind of want to go back and just spend a few days doing all the crazy stuff they have to offer. It was just really hot and steamy, which is the only reason why it doesn't get an A+. Six Flags St. Louis gets an A as well. It's a solid park and gets a bad rep. It's not the most amazing Six Flags I've ever been to, but it was still pretty fun. The city of St. Louis also gets an A. If it weren't for the thick, humid air of Missouri, I would definitely go back and hang out. The Gateway Arch gets an A+. This is something I only had a passing interest in doing and kind of only decided to do it because we were going to be so close to it anyway, and now I'm really glad that we got to check it out. The Hoover Dam gets a B for not having tours after 4 p.m. in the summer. I'll definitely go back to get more info, and maybe my rating will change, but that's a video for another time. I honestly can't believe I'm done with this summer vacation video series thing. It seems like it's taken forever, but I'm really happy that it's all done and looking forward to next year. The park we'll be going to is, I don't know. We're kind of debating whether or not we want to continue this go to the next closest Six Flags park thing. Not because St. Louis wasn't fun, but because we did the math, and when we're all done with these parks, we're going to be in our 50s. And so we decided, you know, maybe we should go on the ones that are crazy and really intense first, and leave the calmer ones like Six Flags St. Louis for our older years. So we're gonna figure that out. I'll make an announcement when we do figure that out, when we get closer to actually going. So if you have a suggestion for which Six Flags theme park you think we should go to next, based entirely on how intense the rides are, let me know down below. Otherwise, I think the next one in line of our original plan was actually the one up in Illinois. Maybe that is the most intense one you think we should go to. Let me know down below. I'll be happy to take all of that in consideration. We definitely want to do the more intense ones now while we're still young and able to take it, and not when we're old and have replacement hips and stuff, you know? I want to take a moment to thank the great people of Missouri. Everyone was really nice, except for a couple people who were really racist, but we won't go into that. Had a great time at Six Flags St. Louis. It was an amazing adventure. Gateway Arch is definitely something you should go check out. The city of Branson is freaking amazing, so if your parents ever tell you, hey guys, we're going to Branson for the summer, don't get mad, be happy. There's a 3-story go-kart track, for crying out loud. You're gonna love it. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe as I release new videos every week. And until next time, keep being awesome.
And it is June 27th, which means it's our
Anniversary.
our 3rd anniversary. So as you guys know, we come to a new Six Flags park every anniversary. This year is St. Louis, and it's very hot out.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun. Justice League.